Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today is a great day for gun rights, and I think most of you have probably already heard, but the Supreme Court ruled against New York City and their requirement for special cause to be able to be granted a carry permit. This is, like I said, a huge day for gun rights. This is like Heller Part 2. In fact, they're very closely related. You know, a lot of people have been asking, what does this ruling today mean? And I want to take a second here and talk about it and talk about what I mean when I say it's pretty much Heller Part 2, as I just said. In Heller, if everybody remembers, the Supreme Court declared that owning a gun is an individual right. Like every other right enumerated in the Bill of Rights, it's an individual right, not a collective right. That's an argument the left has been trying to make for a long time, or I should say the anti-gun people have been trying to make for a long time. Supreme Court pretty much says that's rubbish. There's no other right in the Constitution that is a collective right. It is a right of every individual, and the Second Amendment is not an exception. That was Heller. That was pretty much the biggest points of Heller. Now, here in this decision, we have, like I said, the continuation of that, because that pretty much covered the keep part of keep and bear arms. Now, this decision today pretty much covers the bear part of bear arms. It's saying that you have a right as an individual to own a gun, and since you have a right as an individual to defend yourself, then you have every right as an individual to defend yourself with a gun outside your home. That's basically what this rule says. It's saying the states can't put prohibitions on people actually bearing those arms that they keep, that they can carry them outside the home. Now, is it saying that they can't put any type of requirements on it whatsoever? No, they did let stand things like background checks and, fingerprinting, things like that. But it had to be a system that if you were not a prohibited person, you were guaranteed whatever piece of paper or license whatsoever you needed to get to be able to carry. It basically said all states have to be shall issue. There's no such thing as may issue anymore. California, Maryland, all these states, New York, they now have to, anybody who wants a permit to carry outside their home, who isn't a prohibited person, has to be allowed the right. That's a big step. Like I said, Heller dealt with the keep. This dealt with bear, of keep and bear arms. So now the two strongest points of the Second Amendment have been recognized by the Supreme Court. The left can't say, oh, well, this has always been in dispute, whether it's this or whether it's that. They can say maybe that in the past, but it's not true now. And even in the past, it really wasn't true. If you look, the Supreme Court never said any of the things they like to say the Supreme Court said, as far as saying that it was a collective right and not an individual right. There's no actual precedent for that. They were just using lack of judgment or lack of actual statement to say that, well, then our point is equally valid. I don't think that holds a lot of legal weight. Now, this isn't a law today, this judgment today is not saying that there's no restrictions on guns. Even Clarence Thomas said in his opinion that if there are restrictions on a person's ability to keep and bear arms, they have to have historic precedence. I don't like that part of it. That seems very vague to me. We had an assault weapons ban in the 80s. Is that historic precedence? Or do you have to go back way further? And does it have to be just something that was happening in one particular town, or did it have to be on a national level? So I don't like that. I don't like that whole statement. They always leave the door open. It's like, I think it's job security. They always leave some things unsolved so that you have to let them address it later. So I'm not really going to focus on that because that's not the main point of the discussion today. I'm going to focus on the good things. And that is, like I said, they said every individual citizen has the right to carry a gun. They have a right to bear arms. They have a right to self-protection with those arms. That is the law of the land now in all 50 states. Every state shall now be shall issue. And here's the reality. If it's shall issue, why even bother doing any types of background checks and stuff? Because if everybody who's legal is going to be able to get a permit to carry a gun, everybody who's illegal is just going to carry anyway. So the only reason you have the system in place is to, burden legal carriers. So now that it's been determined that every legal carrier in your state does have a right to carry and you can't stop them, what's the point of the background checks and stuff? Just let people carry. Constitutional carry should be the law of the land now. Because like I said, people who can't legally carry a gun, who are prohibited, who actually have a gun, are going to carry it anyway. So the only people going through the process would be legal, law-abiding citizens. So the process doesn't do anything and doesn't need to exist. The only way it could be justified in the past is some states saying, well, we want to make sure that every person carrying has a good reason. Not just everybody can carry a gun. And now they can't say that because the Supreme Court has said, yes, everybody can also bear those arms that they keep. They can use them for self-defense. So the justifications for a lot of the hoops people have to jump through for carry permits isn't valid anymore. Because here's the thing, if a cop stops you and you have a gun, well, you have every right to have that gun constitutionally. So what should it matter if you have a piece of paper from the state saying, yeah, he gets to exercise his constitutional rights? That was another thing the court said. There was no other law where you have to get, or no other right where you have to get permission from the state to exercise it. If you get caught standing outside of City Hall in a legal public area speaking out against the mayor, the cops can't come up to you and go, where's your permit for the First Amendment? That can't happen. Same thing, that's what was happening with guns. They would come up to you. If you had a gun, they'd be like, where's your permit? Where did you get permission from the government to exercise this right? Now, everyone has that right. So if the cops have a reason to interact with you and you have a gun, their only real recourse should be to say, okay, we checked, you're a felon, you're not allowed to have that gun. That's the only thing they should be able to do. If you're not a felon, you're not a prohibited person, the Supreme Court has said it's your constitutional right to carry a gun. What are they going to start doing? Passing out sentences or tickets to people who are exercising a constitutional right just because they don't have a piece of paper from their state? I don't think that's going to hold up for very long. So I think maybe that can be gotten rid of now too. So like I said, huge decision here for gun rights. This is Heller Part 2, where the New York, I think it's the New York Rifle and Pistol Association. New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, I think, has won a huge victory here. The two gentlemen that they aided in filing these cases has won a huge victory here. I can't overstate how big this is. And you can tell how big it is by how many of the people on the other side that are running around today crying and screaming and yelling foul, like senators, what's her name, Gillibrand, the mayor of New York, who I don't know his name, the governor of New York, who I don't know her name either. All these people are out there just crying in their Cheerios today, and it just shows you how big of a decision this actually was. So everyone today has reason to be happy. I wish we were doing a live chat tonight, but we're not. It's going to be actually at 2 o'clock this afternoon, which will be after you've heard this. So hopefully you saw the notification and you came to that. But like I said, a great day for gun rights. There are some vague things here. And how long is it going to take to trickle down to every state? I don't know. But right now, it is the law of the land in the United States that not only do you have an individual constitutional right to keep a gun, you also have an individual constitutional right to bear that gun for self-defense and pretty much any other reason that's legal in this country. And pretty soon, I think you probably won't even have to have a piece of paper from any state, because what weight do they hold now? They hold no weight now. Because if you have the right, you have the right, and if for some reason you just don't have the proper paperwork, they still can't charge you for carrying the gun. You would be able to appeal to the courts that, hey, I have a constitutional right to do this and I'm not a prohibited person. So like I said, very far-reaching decision here. Now, of course, they didn't rule on, like I said, everything, because they don't do that. When they rule on something, they deal with what's presented in front of them. And sometimes they like to throw those vague statements out there so that they got something to rule on again later. And they give the states some leeway to try stuff. But still, even with that in play, like I said, I'm not focusing on that. This is a huge victory, and it's a day that every pro-gun person should celebrate. All right, everybody, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed today's show. I'm really glad you came, and I hope you come back again tomorrow. Until then, I just want to remind everyone out there to always carry, which is now your individual Supreme Court verified, enumerated in the Constitution right to do so, and stay safe until I see you again.